I think it's time we collectively as a society agree and make it a law that anyone who does not appreciate the Unwanted Undead Adventurer gets deported from whatever home country they have. We need to make a very stern law that the masterpiece known as the Unwanted Undead Adventurer gets the respect it deserves. It's mostly a joke, but I am actually kind of tired that more people aren't talking as highly as me. Which, hey, opinions differ, it is what it is, but legitimately, out of all new anime, no carryovers, no sequels, this or that, brand new anime that aired this winter season, my favorite anime. Hands down. I could end it here. I really could, and I could look at this season as 10 out of 10. If I really wanted to nitpick production, I could, but nothing actually really dampened my enjoyment of the show, so it's not worth bringing up for me anyway. But there is some great potential with season 2, but if not, I really feel like we got to know Rent as a character, and this was actually a very effective use of a backstory, because I think, even though I wasn't necessarily thinking about it during the show, why is someone like him so determined to become a mithril rank? Like, especially in his original body, like he wasn't cut out for it. This episode solves that. They explain the sacrifice, the drive, and living up to someone's passion, and not only that, it actually makes that whole situation a few episodes back with that little girl who was trying to help that old lady with her medicine, and why she's so determined to be an adventurer. Like, he literally helped that girl the same way he was helped by this mithril rank when he was 5 years old. Tell me this shit ain't a 10 out of 10. Now, of course, I have full live reactions to all these wonderful episodes of the Unwanted Undead Adventurer over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full and good thoughts to, we're mainly going to be talking about 11 and 12 this week, but any of these episodes, they're over there if you're interested. Now, I didn't do a video on the channel last week. I did watch last week's episode when it aired. I just didn't have the time, but I knew I was going to get back up here because my favorite anime of the season. Of course I'm going to do it, right? But I like the fact that you could actually sum up episode 11 as a zombie goes to Vampire Toys R Us, and that's pretty objectively correct. Because we make it through the maze, we meet this little girl who's apparently the leader of this whole building, and turns out she's a vampire. We get a pretty sick toy. It's literally, there's like the child within me, man. I was just encouraging him that whole time. I was like, take the damn blimp, man. You got a remote control blimp, but you can actually use it for surveillance, which is pretty sick. But then there was the vial of vampire blood, and I'm like, ooh, no, that's what we want to take. Boy got spoiled. Not only did he get his toy, he got a bottle of vampire blood. And that's where basically this episode comes into play with Lorraine, who's obviously very worried. Now, the great thing about being a vampire is vampires generally look pretty human. They might be pale of skin, they might have red eyes or fangs, or in this case even wings, but in general, take a look at all of the different monsters he could become. Vampires are generally the ones that can blend into human society the best. And obviously, we see where it eventually goes. But they did such a great job because for Rent, one of his biggest things was that, I especially like how he explained it in this episode, that when he started back up, he felt like he was empty. But as he gained more organs and things as these evolutions happened, he has felt better, but he still has felt not himself. Like, he doesn't get tired or he feels empty. At this point, this is probably the best he could ask for until he gets like a full-on human-like form, if he can get that. But still, the fact that he can feel tired, or maybe even feel more of an appetite, is a really pleasant surprise. It was really cool with how they handled it, because the last time he kind of like lost his mind, he lashed out and attacked Lorraine, right? Like, this was when he was hungry for blood. And we were getting a very similar reaction after he drank the vial of blood, and literally, like, he has talons, man. Like, he was clawing him to the ground. I was like, run, girl, run, you're gonna get killed. But if it wasn't for her, he would have become way more monstrous. It's interesting how they detailed it. So his body's like flowing through a stream of his blood, and we can see the giant wings, his body turning into a vampire-styled monster, and with her encouraging and talking, he shrinks down. So he still has wings, and he actually has the ability to control the size of his wings, but we can tell he would have looked like a goddamn demon lord. There would have been no blending in. He would have always had to have a hood on, mask cover it up, this, that, and the third. But because of her being there, he was able to come out looking rather human. A little bit of fangs, some red eyes, and of course wings, but all of that can be blended in very well. And the fact that when he takes his mask off now, especially from the bottom, yeah, his teeth might be a little sharper, but no one's gonna... I think if you take a little pointy teeth Rent and monstrous no skin covering teeth Rent like he's been for a bit, people are gonna look at the new version of him a lot more nicer, so he's going to be able to blend in a lot better, and I like the idea of everything they did there. But my favorite part was actually the backstory. Now, the backstory was very obvious what was going to happen, that he was going to lose something, but I think it was very effective because not only did you get probably the best animated fight we've seen in the show, which was this mithril rank adventurer going up against the big bad wolf, which was really well done. The fact that he loses everything, but the fact that it's almost like he's carrying on the torch for his friend, who not only sacrificed herself to save him, but the fact that he's not built to be an adventurer, right? Like, everything about him, like, personality-wise, a guild leader, supporter, Rent is that man, like, 100%. But his original body was not fit to be an adventurer. What does he really have? Is it just simply chasing after power? It's living up to a promise and a torch, carrying on the legacy for someone who can no longer do that, and just for 10 years training. So many people, if they hear a kid saying they want to be an adventurer and he has to wait till he's 15 years old and he's only 5 right now, would say, good luck, kid. This dude literally encouraged him, taught him things. He says, I can't promise you will be, because, you know, academics and everything you're going to teach yourself can only take you so far. No wonder the guy didn't give up. And it's no wonder why, in a way, I kind of have this theory, because most people think the dragon's within Rent, right? Like, the dragon disappeared that killed him after this whole thing. It would make sense that the soul or the spirit or whatever it is inside Rent. But I think it might go past that, because I almost feel like everything we learn about Rent and who he is, it's almost like a crime against the universe that he wasn't born into a body that could keep up with his spirit. So I wonder if it's almost like a dragon choosing him, and this is now allowing him to reach his full potential, if not even surpass his wildest expectations. That's kind of where my mind's at. And also, I'm not gonna lie, there's been a few tracks throughout this show that they'll use OST-wise that are probably my favorite I've heard in this season. Like, there's almost this like, do, like that song, I think that's probably my favorite piece of music I've heard this anime season. I don't know what it is, like half of it kind of feels like something I'd hear in a Zelda game, and the other half just feels so like you're in a witch's hut. It's just, the music's freaking awesome. But either way, I really enjoyed this show. I think it was a 10 out of 10 for me anyway. I would love to see a season 2, but it's one of those cases where you actually could leave it off here. Sure, it's very open-ended, but I almost feel like with everything we experience and the fact that, you know, like the girl we met in episode 2 who I thought was going to be like the main character. No, like just everyone is a main character in their own little stories, but for Rent, it's Rent and Lorraine's story, and I thought they did such a brilliant and fantastic job. The production surprisingly got better in the second half of the show too. Like, usually the first half and maybe like the last episode would be like the best produced, but it's weird. It almost feels like whether it was like the Golem stuff in last episode or, you know, what we saw in this week's episode, just in general, it actually got progressively better. I wouldn't even want a studio change. I hope this team can do a season 2, but I guess time will tell. Let me know what you thought of any of these episodes, really, or your thoughts as a whole of the show down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring the bell so you get notified when I upload more. And like I mentioned, full live reactions over on my Patreon. Hey, why over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Sphinx, Andre, Darthwin Wright, Magical, Eric Barton, and the James CR7. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.